After defeating the fearsome dragon and saving the princess, the hero went home, seemingly changed. He wasn't celebrating and proudly roaring his victory. He became cold and distant, and even sad. What could possibly happen that seemed to change his whole being? Was the dragon too powerful that he almost died? He was left traumatized? Or perhaps something else entirely? This story is entitled The Dragon's Last Song. It's a boy's love story about regret, longing, and love. And this is the prologue. The dragon has been slain! Loud cheers erupted from the crowd as the huge gate of the empire slowly opened to welcome the hero. All the empire's citizens gathered at the square to witness the victory parade of the mighty dragon slayer. A huge open carriage dragged the dragon's head, and huge ropes secured it tightly for everyone to see. The dragon's head was as large as two bears, its maw wide enough to swallow a whole elk. Two twisted horns on each side of its head, the left horn was broken with a part of it hanging, and dried blood filled its scales crevices. Its large eyes were wide open as if struck by sudden death. The dragon's eyes were piercing blue and it glowed when the light reflected its irises. Golden liquid traced on its tear ducts as if it's tears. Or is it? No one knows. Everyone believes dragons are incapable of any emotions, or so they thought. The air was heavy around the hero. His large square sword hung on his back menacingly. His tall and muscular figure was covered with black worn-out cape that has been through battles, burnt holes, scratches, and dried red blood, evident of the fierce battle that took place. The parade felt like a death parade more than anything. Even though the Sorian citizens were cheering, throwing red flowers that signified victory, the hero himself was stiff, and his eyes were fixed ahead, staring into nothing. The parade was led by two people. Three horses were dragging the open carriage that contained the dragon's head. Princess Circe of the Sorin Empire was kidnapped on her wedding day by the dragon, and was safely saved by the retired general of the empire, General Jaeger, the hailed hero of the empire during his service. And now that he is out of service, the emperor still sought his strength to save the princess and kill the fearsome dragon who was both ancient and hailed as a god in antiquity. The hero looked haggard. His large squared sword hung on his back seemed to add to his burden, but despite his tired and haggard look, everyone knew he could kill another dragon if he wanted to. After all, he was the most powerful warrior that made the Zoran kingdom into an empire. Even retired, no one can still compare to his strength and valor. The princess behind him, on the other hand, looked refreshed. Her white clothes were stained with blood, but other than that, there were no wounds or any signs of physical distress. They both looked forlorn, after achieving something no man could ever hope to do. The imperial family, the crown prince and the emperor awaits at the stage in the middle of the square, where royal guards lined up to welcome them. The parade stopped and everyone was silent as Knight Jaeger got off of his horse and assisted Princess Stasis off her horse. Each step of the dragon slayer echoed heavily at the silent square as his eyes were glazed and seemed unfocused. The emperor stood as he greeted his daughter with a huge hug, to which the princess responded. The dragon slayer was greeted by the crown prince, who hugged him like a brother awaiting his return. After all, they grew up like brothers, and Knight Jaeger only accepted the request because of him. Prince Arth patted him on the back and smiled worriedly. "Thank the goddess you're safe and unharmed," he said, relief in his voice. Jaeger just looked at him and stayed silent.
Prince Art understood his tired and guided him towards the center to announce it formally. Knight Jaeger stood in the middle of the platform. Princess Cersei and Emperor Ally stood behind. This day is marked forever in history. The day a great knight from the Zoran Empire slayed one of the fearsome beasts nature has begotten. The dragon! Prince Arthur's voice boomed throughout the silent crowd as if by cue everyone roared. It was unlike any cheers Prince Arthur had heard before, not even the likes of our great theatrical show. It was primitive. From the pit of everyone's stomach, it was a proud roar as if each one of them had killed the dragon as their own. But that's what it was for the citizens. Long have they feared the dragons, and long have they worshipped the beasts as something immortal and divine, but not until this day. This day changed everything. Now they know those beasts can be slain by their kind. It only means one thing in everyone's soul. Humans proved to be at the top of it all. Despite the screams and roars of the citizens, Night Jaeger seemed unfazed and distant, as if he was not there. Dragon Slayer! Dragon Slayer! Dragon Slayer! The crowd kept chanting on his newly acquired title, and Diego moved his eyes across the huge crowd. His vision was unfocused and blurry, and it was as if a huge fog was casted on his vision. The shouts for him were mere noise and incoherent, and he just wanted it to stop. Yes, I slayed the dragon! His sudden shout silenced everyone. His deep voice reached everyone's souls, and fear and admiration stirred within their hearts. This was the man who killed the dragon. Everyone seemed to have the same thought, and a slow realization began to hit the crowd. If he wanted to, he can annihilate us all. Jaeger lifted his huge sword. Some parts of it glistened under the sun's glare, but most of it was covered in dried blood. His eyes were heavy and tired. It's like a newly awoken beast that you don't want to piss, and everyone is holding their breath in each passing second. Aye. Everyone waits in anticipation as he slowly brings his sword down. He looked down at his free left hand. It was covered in mud and dried blood. He didn't bother cleaning it, and images of a smiling person flashed through his mind. That smile cannot be compared to summer skies. It was so bright and kind. Jaeger stared at his hands a little longer. His brows furrowed as if he was longing for something, for someone. Then memories started to flood his mind's eye. His hands were soaked in fresh blood. It was dripping, and the bright red color seemed to hypnotize him. His eyes fell upon the body before him. It was a man. His once pale blond hair was now soaked in his own blood. His pale skin was starting to turn blue, and his mouth kept on spilling blood as if it were a broken faucet. Jaeger's hand shook as he tried to liquidate the wound, but there was none. Something was bleeding inside him. Or is it? Jaeger clumsily grabbed his potion and made him drink it. The dying man just smiled softly. He weakly reached for Jaeger's face, that's full of tears, that he didn't even notice himself. Jaeger felt so desperate and hopeless. He was furious at himself, but he was more in despair than anything. Even the miracle tonic didn't work. He's dying. This can't be happening. His thoughts were a mess, his emotions overwhelming, and all he could do was sob like a child as he hugged the weak body of the man. No, please don't go. I never knew. I'm sorry. Please don't leave me. His desperate plea echoed in the empty castle. The dying man turned to him weakly and uttered his last words. I love you. Thank you. As he said those words, his eyes became glazed as if life finally left him with those parting words. Jaeger's eyes were blurred with tears as he wailed and hugged the now dead man. In all his life, Death was the norm. This was the first time he felt so much grief in someone's passing. He didn't know how to handle this overwhelming feeling of sorrow, grief, and anger. Jaeger? He snapped back into the present as he felt the prince's cold hands over his own. He turned to look at him, and he could see worry in his eyes. Jaeger turned to face the crowd. Yes, I slayed the dragon. He screamed again, repeating the same phrase. Then he looked up and tears fell from his eyes. And I shouldn't have. Everything seemed to pause. Even the birds didn't make a sound. Those words were the last they expected from a dragon slayer. I shouldn't have killed the dragon. Prince Oth looked at him in disbelief, trying to process those words. Surely he jest, Prince Arth thought, confused. But before he could process what those words meant, the Dragon Slayer activated his armor in a quick flash. His sword pulsed with so much mana, and before anyone could blink, the sword that killed the dragon was pushed through his own heart. Prince Art's eyes were wide as he watched Yeager fall to the ground, followed by a huge thud. And all he could think was, why? That's the prologue, guys. If you want part two, which hopefully gonna post next week, but no promises, cause God, life is unpredictable. But yeah, if you want, you can follow me for more to stay updated and tell me what you think. In the following chapters, we would go through Jaeger's adventure journey in pursuing the dragon, and eventually we will find out why he regretted killing the dragon. And yeah, bye.